figure out if a music major is correct for you. Is it the right choice for you? So, when I was choosing music major, I was kind of like, one, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? That's a really important question. Some people think, oh, well, I'm good at it, or I've been doing it for so long, I should just do it. But do you really want to earn money doing it for the rest of your life? So that's where I would start. And then you go from there. So it's like, what kind of music do I want to play? Do I want to play classical? Do I want to play in an orchestra? Do I want to play in a chamber group? Do I want to do Hollywood film music? I mean, do I want to play, there's so much now, hip hop? Do I want to blah, blah, blah? So you put that down on your list. And then you figure out kind of, what is your major way that, or orchestral or something, what path do you think you want to go? From there, then I would start picking schools. And the most important thing that we always say is that you have to find the teacher that works for you, okay? So your teacher, if you're gonna be orchestral, if you wanna be an orchestra, find a person who has a track record of students that get into orchestras. If you study with some famous soloist who has no idea how to take an orchestra audition, they're probably not gonna get you a job, okay? So if you wanna be a soloist, study with a soloist. That's what I recommend. They have the ins. They know the right managers. They know the right competitions. They know, how to network. So with the right people. If you want to do chamber music, there's chamber music.
The important thing is to get with somebody who does the thing that you want to do.
Yes.
Because even as Carlos said, there are auditions. Well, you had a bit more of a hybrid career for a long time. And it's not like you don't see like postings like you see for orchestra auditions, for chamber music auditions. But actually, if you're studying with a big quartet member, a former quartet member, they know when there's an opening in a quartet, when there's a group starting to get formed, and they'll come to you, they'll call you and say, hey, this is happening, and I think you'd be great for it.
But it's all word of mouth, and it's all part of that small, tight-knit community. And
yeah.
Unless you're a part of that community, you have no entree into it. So studying with a person like that gives you a window into that world and connection to that world.
Also, you can be a music major if you like to practice a lot. If you don't like to practice, it is not worth your time. It really isn't, because this business it is a business, that's why this class is here. It can be a tough business, and it's competitive. And so if you don't want to put in the work, music can be in your life and not your job. You know what I mean? So you can be an amateur musician forever. My dad, although he doesn't like me to say this, but he's not here. My dad has been a jazz pianist for years. But he was also an elementary school principal for 30, and so that paid his bills. So, and he loves playing the piano still, but it was never really his profession.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point. I remember there were a couple of times, I forgot to say this, that I tried to quit the cello. And I wanted to be a lawyer because I had a lot of friends who were lawyers at the time, and it was the job to go to school, and your last summer before you graduate, you intern at a firm, and then you have like a 6-figure job, like that. Tomorrow, yeah. So I was like, that sounds cool. So, needless to say, I couldn't, for some reason, shake the cello. It kept calling me back. But the last time that I thought I wanted to quit, I had meetings with all of my lawyer friends separately, of all different, like the Ivy League lawyers, the ones who were partners at big firms, the ones who did pro bono work. And I really got to the heart of like what it was to be a lawyer, and they're like, it's a lot of writing and it's a lot of reading and researching. Do you like to do that? I said, no, so don't be a lawyer. Same thing with the music degree. Yeah. You have to be really on the practicing, and you have to really love rejection, and you have to really love to get your feelings hurt, and you have to really love music.
Mm-hmm. You can be addicted.
Yeah. Because you know how we ask you to be critical of your playing? Is this in tune? Is this rhythm correct, blah, blah, blah. That happens for the rest of your life. Some conductor will say to you, this is out of tune. And you're like, you just have to fix it. You can't take it personally. It's about the music at that point, okay? So if you don't have thick skin, think about doing this for fun. That's what I would say. So we can talk about that.
Oh, that's a bad one. I can't touch that.
I'd say, like, along the way, you'll find that there are things that are important, and one of the things that you're learning here at SPA is punctuality. And I think that that's a pretty good life lesson, and it's not just about music. I think that's one of the things in life that will get you through. Just show up. And show up with your best self, with the best attitude you can, and show up on time. And a lot of the work that I've done in my life, they didn't really care how you played when you showed up, as long as you were there on time, and you were there. Which is sort of why I got frustrated, because it's, like, it's me though, I'm the one here, but they don't really care. And so that's something that I think you're learning here, learning to show up for a quartet, practiced, and with all your music, showing up on time, things like that. I think that we're sort of teaching you that here, but that's something that will continue for the rest of your life, and I think that it's important to be the best at that you possibly can.
So our next topic is how do I find the right fit for college? So one of the ways are things like this, summer festivals, right? It's a great way to meet teachers. It's a great way to network, see your future colleagues, musical colleagues. So when I was a kid, I went to Interlochen Arts Camp for 9 summers. And I would say there are a large amount of people I met there that are actual orchestra musicians now in professional orchestras everywhere. And so I had to, well, my parents did a little bit of research, but if you want orchestra, go to an orchestra camp, okay? If you want chamber music, go to a chamber music camp. If you want to do solos, you go to a practice camp, like Meadowbound, and you practice for 8 hours a day. If you want to be a soloist, 8 hours a day, every day for like 6 weeks. So you guys, just research is really important, and now research, I mean, you have the internet. We have like snail mail, so everything's a lot easier, much more at your fingertips. So summer festivals are a great way to also meet teachers. If you want to study with this famous teacher, so-and-so, and he teaches at Aspen, you should go to Aspen and study with him. Because 1, he gets to know you, or she gets to know you. 2, you get to know if you like them, okay? And 3, you get it into college already. Because I always tell this story, when the concertmaster of the Cleveland Orchestra, Bill Prusel, had 2 spots open my freshman year. Those 2 people that he actually accepted when they were juniors in college. I mean, juniors in high school, excuse me, juniors in high school. So those 2 spots were full before people even auditioned. And so you're spending this money going to the Cleveland Institute of Music thinking, oh, Bill Prusel's going to hear me play, and he has no spots open.
I remember at my Juilliard audition, I think Juilliard is the hardest school to get into. Is that true? The acceptance.
I would think.
No, I'm saying it's not because it's hard to get into, but the percentages are the smallest.
I don't know.
The number of auditions.
I know Juilliard 6%. I'm not sure.
6%. Okay.
You're part of the 6%.
My point is that I actually didn't like that school at all. Just my personal thing. But I remember at the audition, the head of the cello department was already looking for students that he had accepted in his mind who weren't even at the audition. And that all happens in the summer, and that happens with the relationship that you develop with these teachers ahead of time. It's sort of sad to think about it, but that's just the way it is. And if you don't get into a school like that, it may not be because you're not good enough, but it may be because other people had more relationships. And like the 5 spots they said they only had 1.
Yeah.
And there were 5,000 people that applied or something.
And that's the other side of it, right? Everyone who auditioned for Bill Prusel that year and got rejected thought, oh man, I'm not good at the violin, right? And it had nothing to do with that. Yeah. For some of them, maybe it did. This sounds maybe like a sad story, but it just means basically don't just be a number when you arrive at an audition, right? Cultivate a relationship with these people long before, as early as you can.
Yeah, and that moves us on.
Well, what are the ways to do that?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So I would say the best way to do that, besides summer festivals, is try to take a lesson. If you have the means to do it, it would be really good to study with a teacher, or email that teacher and see if that can happen. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, or your parents don't feel comfortable, it's totally acceptable to ask your private teacher to do that. I've done that for many of my students. I've done that for SPA students before. If they have a person they want to study with, or take a lesson with, I'm totally comfortable emailing them. Because I think that's part of my job as a teacher, as an educator, to make those connections. So that is a great way. Do not hesitate to try to ask someone for a lesson. They may not offer you a lesson, but if you don't ask, how are you gonna get it, you know?
One of the great ways to ask is by emailing. I mean, like Jen said, you guys are so on the interwebs. You know, when I was a kid, it wasn't like that.
It's not.
And that wasn't that long ago. But one way is by email. People's email addresses are very easy to find, and I'm sure you know that. But once you have said email address, writing an amazing email, writing a compelling professional email that will get a response, because I promise you, if it's good, it's a good email, you'll get a response. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter if you're trying to email like Itzhak Perlman. He'll write you back. It's a good email. So that's something to learn now. Is how to write a good email.
You want to, yeah, exactly. And if you don't have any connection to this person, you can't. Jen doesn't know them. I don't know them. Your private tutor doesn't know them. You can't reach it. Find a way to get to them. Their email address is probably on the school's website. It's definitely on the school's website. And you write them, and you keep it concise and very, very polite. And you say, I'm so and so. I completely love. I respect your work a lot. I'd really love to take a lesson with you. It doesn't take a lot.
And try to have a professional email address, meaning like, you know what I mean. Don't have a crazy email address when you're sending it to.
Like Nicki Minaj fan.
Number one.
Things like that. Yes. So another way to meet, well, I guess to find even the right fit of colleges, or just to get yourself out there to prepare for auditions, college auditions, things like that, are competitions. And no competition. A $200 at the $200 prize competition of your local whatever, 7-Eleven violin competition happens. 7-Eleven violin competition happens. It's a playing opportunity. It is another chance for you to play for people and get
nervous.
To get nervous, to run through your repertoire. No competition is too
small.
And you never know who's going to be listening.
You never know who's going to be listening, and also you never know how much that money can add up, for college, or just for maintenance of your instrument or something like that. I used to play all over the city, and I was making money at like 13, 14, paying for stuff, and I would play like all over.
I remember I also did a lot of competitions as a student, and my mom kept all the money. And I didn't know how much it was. And so I was in college, I was in my undergrad, and I think it was in my 3rd year, and I needed a new bow, and she had no money to buy me anything. And so I was like, well, didn't I do all those competitions? I think there must be like $500 or something. It was $5,000 there. And that was a long time ago, so it's like inflation, it was like $10,000. And I still play on that bow, and so that all added up to a large amount of money. So, save your money. Yeah. Money for school.
Money for school. Yeah. What, money for school. We're all talking about money for school. What to do. Part of it is go out and gig, do whatever you can to save up, take scholarship auditions. But when schools offer you money, and hopefully they offer you money, and let's say it's not enough money, okay? Let's say you need $20,000 and they offer you 10. What you should do is you should do a couple things. You should go back to your teacher. Actually, the first thing you should probably do is say that it's not enough money. Don't hesitate to ask for more money.
Unless it's a full ride.
Okay. Yeah.
Which happens.
Which happens, yeah. But if you need more money, do not be afraid to ask for more money. Okay? They will try to find money. In most cases, if your teacher really wants you. And so, let's say you ask for more money and they may give you $1,000, and you still need, another $8,000 or $9,000. Write your teacher, the teacher that you're going to study with at college, an email and say, I really want to come study with you. You're my number one. I know you're going to change my life, blah, 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 but I just can't afford it. Is there anything you can do? And 9 times out of 10, your teacher's going to go down to the office and they're like, give that $9,000 to that kid, And I've seen it happen many times.
Or you can leverage admission packages against each other. So let's say you got into school A and school B. You really want to go to school B. You don't have enough money in scholarship for them. School A is giving you like 30% more than school B. Go to school B, say, this school is giving me this much, and I think I'm going to have to go there. They could also come up with the money because of that.
Yes.
that is actually the best way to get colleges to give you like a lot more money, and for that reason you should never, like if say you just really want to go to the Juilliard school, you should apply to many more schools, you know, and you should have some schools where you know that you're going to get a lot more money, and then some schools where you feel like you'd be just lucky to get in, you know, and that's really important. And this is not like a dirty game. This is totally normal. It's totally normal. And you're a fool if you don't ask for more money. And it doesn't look weird, it doesn't look bad, it doesn't look like you don't care. Once a teacher has accepted you, they have to hold that spot until the national deadline to respond, which for undergraduates is April 15th or something. And don't feel like you have to respond a minute sooner than that, because often more money in their budget will clear up right towards the end of that deadline. And so you go about your business.
This is super important.
You go about your business and you weigh these offers and you try and get as much money then as possible. And then at the last minute, when they find, and full rides exist, they're not uncommon in music at certain schools. Some schools are more known for that than others, yeah? But yeah, that's really important.
I will also say you guys have more leverage because they do want diversity in their schools. So don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
You help their numbers as much as they're going to help you. So
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure.
We talk about if university or conservatory was right.
Oh, that's a great.
Oh, no,
That's really,
No.
is anybody thinking about that right now? Like, do I want to go to university or
I know Chad and I've had this conversation. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we should.
Yeah.
You want to go because you did all that.
Yeah. You did.
Yeah, that's true. I gotta tell you, I guess for me, I think that most conservatories, first of all, you still get a bachelor's there. You know, you're gonna take classes outside of music. You're gonna take classes in like the academic side of music. You know, your curriculum might not look terribly different between someone who's very serious about music at university versus someone at the conservatory. Who you're surrounded by is gonna be very different. You know, at a conservatory, you'll be surrounded by other musicians. Depending on the school, maybe some other dancers, maybe other artists, but you're going to be surrounded by almost exclusively performers and composers and people like that. At university, everyone's there. All the people are there. There are people who want to be doctors, who want to be lawyers, who want to be astronauts, whatever. So your community might look quite different at a university.
For me, I always wanted to go to a conservatory because, foolishly enough, I thought if I didn't go to a conservatory, I'd never, you know, be a professional musician because, like, you know, you have to go to a conservatory. Like, that's the way, you know. You have to go to the famous school. That's the way. If I go to the famous school, then I'm going to get a job. That's all not true. I think if I were to do it again, I don't know if I'd go to a conservatory or not. I ended up going to a conservatory because of those reasons, and also because my grades weren't very good. Because I didn't think that I needed grades. I just had to play a great audition. And I mean, I remember in high school, because I went to an arts high school, I'd be sitting there listening on my Discman in algebra class. I'd be listening to cello concertos and not even paying attention to what was going on. And I think I told somebody this. My physics teacher loved Wagner opera, so I'd go in and check in with my physics teacher, and we'd talk about Wagner for 5 minutes, and then be like, oh, I have to go practice. So I'd go practice, and he just gave me an A in the class. So I just wasn't interested in school. So conservatory had to be for me.
Yeah.
But that's the question you all have to dig deep within yourselves. I was lucky enough, though, that my undergraduate degree is from the Cleveland Institute of Music, which you get a dual degree from. So you get a degree from Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Institute of Music. So, like I said, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer or something. I could have then gone to law school because I have an accredited degree from the university if I passed the LSAT and all that stuff. But, you know, it's an important question to ask.
Right. For me, I applied to four conservatories and Indiana, so one university, and which does have a music school, so it's like, but the academics are heavy in Indiana, so for me it was always the teacher. I applied to the teacher, and so I still go back to that rule. You know, if you're deciding, if you're unsure if you're going to be a music major or not, you're thinking, well, maybe I should major in biology and maybe minor or something. And you want to go to a university. I think that's totally fine. I think, I'm not sure about the minor aspect. I'm not the biggest fan of minors, but I think you should take lessons with the violin teacher, the nearest violin teacher you can find that's still good, so you can keep your level up. Whatever you do, if you go to a university and you want to major in something else, but you're still in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, I could go to grad school on my instrument. You could do that. I know people have done that. But they still had to practice. They had to fit in their practice and their lessons in undergrad.
You've got to be dead serious about playing if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
And in either way, I think it's important. Well, this is my own opinion, is that what I want for all of you is to just have sort of the world at your fingertips when you finish high school, and then also when you finish college. And one way to do that is to sort of, if you do go the university route, but you have this idea that you might do music later, you should take music classes in your undergrad. Even if you're not majoring in music, you should take music classes. You don't want to arrive at a master's program having no idea what a dominant chord is. That's bad news bears. That takes away from practice time in your master's because you're doing stupid music stuff that you don't want to be doing. And then on the flip side, if you don't have to double major to be totally prepared to do something other than music after you finish a music degree. Just take enough classes. You could go to say Michigan, and you could be dead serious about your instrument practice 6 hours a day. But every semester you take one class that's not in the music school, and you diversify your transcript. So it looks like you have interest. You've seen the world sort of academically. And then you finish, maybe you go to Juilliard for grad school, or maybe you get a PhD, and that's fine.
My roommate all through undergrad was not a music major and did not go to Lincoln Institute of Music. He went to Case Western Reserve University, which is the attached school, and he was a computer science major, but he was a phenomenal violinist too. And we played in quartet and piano trio all 4 years of undergrad. We lived together for all 4 years of undergrad. We were very good friends, and he practiced a lot and took lessons with the teachers at CIM. And then he was like, well, I think I should try this music thing because I'm really good at it. So he did his master's in violin performance, and then won a job in the first violin section of the Pittsburgh Symphony in his last year of master's, and is the concertmaster of the Grant Park Orchestra of Chicago at the same time. Yet he had zero music degree, anything in his whole undergrad. But the music thing was just always there. And I think I've had this conversation with Chad in depth, but I think we could bring it here. And what Jen alluded to is how important the teacher is. This day and age, there are universities that are attached to music schools that are as good, if not better, than some conservatories, than most conservatories. And most of those conservatories have the best teacher that you could possibly want to study with. Like my teacher in undergrad teaches at the University of Michigan and Juilliard, but you could go to University of Michigan, and basically it's like going to study with him at Juilliard, but you're also having all the options of being at the University of Michigan and having that. Or there are conservatories that have attachment programs, like there's Tufts New England Conservatory or Harvard New England Conservatory, there's Juilliard Columbia University, and so even with a conservatory there are options to then link up with the university if that's something that you're interested in. But these days, all of these fancy teachers teach at places that are also universities. I mean, the cello teacher at Curtis also teaches at Bard College. And so you could go to Bard and basically be like going to Curtis, you know. So there's no excuse. Teacher.
That's really true. Also, if there is a teacher you really love, you should audition. It's totally normal to audition for their studio at multiple schools.
Yeah.
Totally normal.
Yeah. Going back to the money thing actually made me think. So the opposite works too. So let's say you have no intention of going to music, but you still play, obviously. My cousin, who went to the Cleveland School of the Arts, actually, she had no intention of being a violist. And she was an interesting violist, but she had no intention of being a violist, you know, and she really wanted to, but she wanted to go to college and she didn't have enough money. And she got a full ride to 2 schools based on playing the viola. They gave her money just to play in the orchestra. That's it. Like, she didn't have to take lessons. She wasn't a music major. And it paid for her college just to play the viola. And it happens the other way too. So you can always let them know, you know, like, what can I do for more money? Can I play in the orchestra?
And once you are in this sort of college world, college scene, then you're thinking about what's next and how does that look and how does that happen? I think that it's an important thing even now to start thinking of what we all do in this room, playing music, like a business. Because as pretty as the sounds are that come out of your violin, there is a business model attached to that that we think doesn't exist because it's an artistic thing, it's a creative thing. But the only thing that makes it artistically satisfying is freedom, and that freedom comes from a business model and from financial security.